Okay, we are back with Brad Wilson. Thank you so much for coming back, Brad. We're
Oh,
talking about
honored.
the Furry Fortune. We were just talking about the equity crowdfunding, not the donation crowdfunding. Since this was your first one, I want to ask you, what percentage do you think were people where you actually reached out, people maybe you knew or maybe you knew on social media and talked to them, and how much of it was just running these promos or social media stuff, complete strangers who invested 100 or $1,000? Do you have
Yeah,
any sense of that? If you could guess?
it's you get a lot less that really invest than the time and effort you put out there. But I would say I'm just going to say 6-7%. But all that adds up. You have to put all that stuff out, and it does add.
Back up a little bit. 6 or 7% that you talked to, or 6 or 7% just kind of found you on?
That we talked to 6 or 7% that we talked to, and maybe put the video out. Because see, we did most of this on social media. That's where we did most of it. And I think one of the lessons learned is, before we do another one, we're going to try to really build our social media network a lot larger, because if we do, that's going to make the percentages a lot better. And if that makes sense.
Yeah. And any bigger people that came in through that platform, like 5,000, $10,000 or higher, or 20,000?
We had I'm trying to we had two or three maybe at 50,000. and
Okay.
and we and we did have different step. We had people at 5,000, there were some at 10, so there were different steps, which is great. You love to see that. But
And those people probably got an executive producer credit or some sort of producer
yeah, they
credit.
got I think it was a co-executive producer, on the really big ones they did. But at the end of the movie, it's like a whole other movie. Everybody from the $100 investors on up got their names in the credit. And so their names are in the credit. And of course, it was a dog movie, and there was one perk about, we'll put a picture of your dog in the end credits, and their name, whatever that level was.
Oh, wow. That's kind of
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. You can do it.
Very
You really,
creative.
it's like Kendall has always said, and it's almost like, finally after all this time I'm just now getting it. But you really do have to think out of the box. This is not your normal kind of thing that you and I and everybody else is used to. You have to think out of the box. And I think it really has legs. It's so difficult now. This business is never easy, but it's really changed a lot and difficult now. This, I think, and Kindle thinks, could be a new way to really finance more movies, and kind of go around Hollywood, if that
Yeah,
makes
no,
sense.
I think it's amazing. And I always try to put myself in the investor's shoes.
Yes.
Um, so I get approached by, no exaggeration, probably 5 or 10 people a month minimum for
Oh,
Kickstarter, Indiegogo to donate or whatever.
yes.
And
Yes.
honestly, and I try to give whenever I can, but honestly, I would much rather invest 100 or 200 bucks than donate 25 or $50. Much.
Hello. Yes. It makes more sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I know. Is it are the things like Kickstarter and some of those regular crowdfunding things? Is that more family and friends? Do you think that just want to help?
I'm not an
Maybe.
expert on that, but I have a friend who I interviewed on the show who's done 2 or 3 movies now on Kickstarter, and these are, 50 to $100,000 raises.
Uh
And
huh.
what he tells me is, they're people that are friends, family, supporters in his network,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
that's probably 80%. And then they do a lot of cool promos, some videos and
Yes.
social media, and people just might want to,
Yeah.
strangers at the end might want to come in and chip in 25 or $50 because they want to see the film made,
Right.
or they like the
And
perks.
I think in this, way we're doing is we're reaching out to strangers right at the beginning, as well as our friends. Oh, by the way, uh, uh, not to get off track, but one of the things that's very important is to keep the investors in the loop. I'm going to tell you, in all of my years, I don't think I've ever I know I haven't been as good about keeping investors in the loop as I have been on this, but Kindle has encouraged me and shown me how to do this. I mean, I was doing like videos every day from the set, and behind the scenes. And then on our website, we have an investor only place that people go and put in a password. And every month, me and our executive producer Donna Morgan always do a podcast to keep investors informed about what's going on. And all of a sudden it's like a family. And I can't believe the people that watch this, these investors that watch it, and they're very appreciative of it. And I wish I would have known more about that early on in my career. But
That's a great idea, because I just give my investors email updates, but you actually
yeah,
have a back door in a website and they can hear you and see you and you're actually talking.
yeah, yeah. And soon, well, leading up to the Furry Fortune, we're doing like one a week, I think, is what we've done to lead up to the release. Just to, it also builds excitement, because there are these different places where it's like being on the other side of the moon, where nothing is happening that we can tell the investors, like trying to get, once we turn the film over to our sales agent, then he's got to sell it, and that's a process. And there's not a lot to report, but we still try to get up there and not a lot of fluff, but just try to be honest and say, look, we're behind the moon right now. There's not a lot going on, but just know it's being out there and being sold. It's really been
Great
very, very,
idea.
yeah,
Good idea.
very
Um,
interesting.
Before I let you go, I want to ask you a little bit about your take. I'm not a big fan of development, by the way. If you need to
Yeah,
put in 10, $20,000 at the most to develop
yeah,
an indie film,
yeah.
sometimes you need to do that. But I'm not a big fan of, 100, 500,000, $1 million development fund. You get a little bungalow on the Paramount lot.
Oh my God, that's
Talk a
ridiculous.
little bit, because you went through development hell, right, on the Apostle.
Yeah.
I'd
But
love to hear your take on, in today's world, 2023, what you think about budgets of films and development and what people should be doing.
well, the first thing in the independent film arena, very important, are the budgets. And now, as compared to 20 years ago, you can do films a lot less expensive. I mean, it's one of the most exciting times for me to see for young filmmakers. They can go to Walmart, get a broadcast quality camera, do their thing, edit it on their computer, and next thing you know, it's in a film festival. That's the good news and bad news, because there's also bad stuff that gets out there as well. But uh, uh, it's changed a lot in the budgets. My sales agent doesn't want us to go over $500,000 because we're not just doing it because we want to do a movie. It's an investment. We have to keep in mind getting the investors their money back. And they're not giving it to us because we're good people or something. It's an investment. And so if you keep those budgets as low as possible and the quality as high as possible, chances are you're going to get the investors their money back or make a dollar or two. I never promise anything. The minute you promise something, you're lying. The only
Yeah.
thing I promise my investors is pure hard work and determination to get it done. That's all I can promise. And, you never know. I mean, the market changes daily. Look at the disaster at the World Trade Center. There were film negatives in there that just will never be seen. And all of that, you never know what's going to happen. But you can kind of semi-control it by keeping those budgets as low as possible. I only, in my whole 35-year career, I've only raised uh, pretty big development money twice. And
Did those movies ever get off the ground?
one of them is about to, but it's not because of that development money, I don't think. I mean, it just, now in this crowdfunding, equity crowdfunding, you have no choice. You have to raise some in order to start that ball rolling, because you just have to do it to get everything set up. You have to, but otherwise, I don't think we didn't have any development money for the Apostle. we just started going out. And of course, with Duvall, I could get right into the studios, and see them. And of course, they didn't get it and turned it down. At the end of the day, he ended up financing it himself once
Oh,
I
wow. I never knew that.
yeah, yeah, he
So,
financed it, and it was
so you
great.
touched on something as well. So there's two routes when whether you're doing equity crowdfunding or just picking up the phone or sending out business plans. One is private investors, like you've successfully done, and the other,
Yes.
what you were doing with Robert Duvall, was getting meetings at the studios and the networks.
Let me tell
What's your take on those two different directions to somebody trying to get an independent film today?
I got out of the studio. I was in the studio system with Duvall. I got out of it years ago because first off, I got to know some of those. But we had a deal on the Sony lot with the Columbia Pictures, and I got to know some of those guys. One guy said, "We are hired to say no." Which they are, and you've got about 5 or 6 of these executives that are making a lot of money, and not that they're bad people. I mean, I met some good people, but they have to justify their positions, so they will take your script, do these notes, and then on the outside chance they do get it into the system, well, it doesn't even look like the script you wanted, that you started with. I mean, this dog movie could have ended up being like Monkeys in Outer Space or something. So the good news about it's the studio. There's money behind it. There's promotions and all that stuff. But there's a lot of bad news too. In this independent world that I got a taste of and got in and have been in for years now, the two hardest things are raising the money and getting distribution. Those are the two hard. Otherwise, you don't have the buck stops with you. That's where the buck stops. You don't have all this other crazy studio stuff going. So I prefer it. I prefer the independent route, and I've been fortunate. And I, I, I say I don't know why anyone would give me money. Look at me, but I've been pretty successful in raising money, and especially in also in distribution. I've been real lucky.
Well, it's like
You
you
just have
said,
to keep the quality high.
it's an amazing time right now to be an independent film producer,
Yeah.
because the ability to make a high quality movie underneath $1 million is there. And on the distribution side, although it is tricky, there's almost unlimited streaming and
Oh,
other options to get your film out.
and people need content, like we always say. We may have that word producer in front of our name, but we're really content providers. And like I got with something, I don't have cable anymore. I got the I don't know what it is. Yeah, yeah. And the the I think I was on Warner Cable or something. They had like 600 channels at the time. I got the medium, the middle one for 300, and I watched about 12. But all of those other places, they need content, so it is a very exciting time.
Yeah. So the film is out. What's the best where can people see the Furry Fortune now?
Well, right now they can go on any of what they call the TVOD, TVOD, and that's the places to pay to either rent or buy, and that's the first process. And I think we're on every one of the major ones right now. Vision has done a tremendous job in promoting this. They love the movie, and I just can't say enough about them. They're great folks. Andrea is just amazing, with her PR. But that's where right now you can go to all the those formats and find it.
Excellent. So go watch the Furry Fortune. Anytime you have a family friendly movie with a dog, you could have millions of people watch this thing. I hope it totally blows
Oh,
up for you.
thank you. Wait till you see this dog. Oh my gosh, what a blessing it was to get him.
What's the best way if anyone wants to reach out to you personally? Do you have a website, or if someone
I
wants to
do
get in
have a
touch with you?
website. I have a website that is in dire need of updating, and I've got to do that. But I get messages from there. It's bradwilsonproducer.com, bradwilsonproducer.com, and be happy to. I'm very accessible. I really, I'm not. I tell people, I live and work in Hollywood, but I'm not a Hollywood guy. So if anybody has any questions or anything, please reach out to me.
That's a great offer. Thank you very much, Brad. And final words of wisdom to anyone who's getting ready to start their fundraising for their movie?
Well, you mean as far as
Or
the equity fundraising or?
advice, or just advice in general to put
Oh,
together a movie and get the money.
well, first, like you said, if you go the independent route, you've got to do a business plan. I know that you're excited to get out there, but you've got to do a business plan. It's very, very important because you get out there and they're going to want to see something and you and you don't have anything. And be very honest and transparent. In our business plan and in our agreements, investor agreement, we've got things all in there about basically you might lose every dime, but you never know. You have to be honest with people, and I think that resonates. I think people aren't stupid, and we all have those gut feelings, and if we ever go against them, we're usually wrong. But just be transparent and plan. There was this old saying when I did sell radio advertising about plan your work and work your plan. So be
Love it.
smart. Listen, this is a very tough business and it's very competitive. And the one other thing, if I can just really quickly say, I try to never go to anyone that is either in this business or has been in this business. I try to go to people that are maybe doctors, independent business people, because anybody in this business has their projects they're going to do, and anybody that's had anything to do with this business, maybe investing in a movie, it's either gone two ways. It's been great or bad, but they all of a sudden become experts. So I try not to wait. And one thing people will say,
I'm gonna ask you to repeat those words of wisdom. That's very important. Who
"Oh,
do you
okay,
not go to?
do not go to anyone in the business or anyone that has been had any contact or done anything in the business. If you're in the business, if you go to those people, they have their own projects that they're trying to get going.
So true.
um, it is so true. And the people that have invested in films that are kind of semi in the business like that, either two things have happened: it's gone good or it's gone bad, and they become experts. And you just waste a lot of time. Go to people that aren't in the business or haven't been in the business. That and I will tell people that, and they will still say, "Oh, we know so and so who helped produce a movie." It just doesn't work. I'm telling you from experience,
Yeah,
it
I
doesn't
agree.
work. You
I
know.
agree.
But
So
those are in
speaking
it.
of new films, before you go, we got 30 seconds left here before the hard out. Any new films on the horizon that you're doing?
Yes, yes. We're about to actually start another equity crowdfunding launch for a movie about the former welterweight boxing champion of the world, Carlos Palomino. An amazing story. Of course, there's boxing in there, but it's much more than that. And it's one I've been working on a long time, and we finally decided to equity crowdfund it. So that's going to be our next thing.
Very cool. I think I saw that on your website, correct?
Oh, I think so. Yeah, I think it is
Yeah.
up there.
So bradwilsonproducer.com.
Yes, that's it. Man, it's been great, Scott. You're terrific. Thank
Oh,
you.
thank you so much, Brad. Really appreciate it. I wish you all the best with the Furry Fortune.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening. And remember, it's time!
There's never been a better time to make your own indie film. And if you have a dream project you're excited about and 100% committed to getting it funded, go to financeyourmovie.com and click on the green telephone button. You'll see our calendar, and if you find an open spot, grab it. You'll get a one-on-one call with me or one of my partners. It will be the best hour you've ever spent getting clarity and strategy towards financing your movie. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next week.